Hi, I'm Christian Triola, author of The Missing Method for Guitar books, and in this video I'm going to show you how to play Hotel Yorba by the White Stripes. So before we get started, make sure you download the PDF that's in the description below. So I have to admit, there was a time when I was pretty much obsessed with the White Stripes. I was fascinated with how they could get such a huge sound with limited instruments. Just had drums, guitar, and vocals. Not even bass. Anyway, when I heard their album White Blood Cells, the track that really stood out for me, and there were many tracks that stood out for me on this one, but Hotel Yorba was definitely a favorite. And one of the great things about it is that it's really fun to play. The chords are basically simple. They're mostly beginner style chords, and yet there are still a couple of unexpected challenges. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the intro. So it's really the only time in the song where we're not just strumming through chords. It kind of has this very classic country sound to it, where you have these nice hammer-ons at the beginning. Now in the PDF, the hammer-ons aren't marked, but I'm going to show you how to do that anyway. So the first thing we have is a G major chord in the intro. So you hold that down. Now this G major chord is a little bit different than the one found in the book Guitar Chord Master Level 1. Instead, we have our pinky on the first string, 3rd fret, just like normal. Then our third finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. The middle finger is on the last string, 3rd fret, and the first finger is on the 5th string, 2nd fret. So you have this big open G sound. Now you don't strum that chord all at once like that in the intro. Instead, you play the bass note, the G, and then you strum the top strings. And then you come back to the bass note. And then what I like to do is I actually come back off the neck. Now you don't have to. You can hold that G down the whole time. And play it like that. But I like to come off just to give my hammer-on a little bit more power. So after the open string, strum, bass note, then we have open 5th, hammer on to the 2nd fret, and then play the open D right after it. So you have, so all together so far, bass, strum, bass, hammer on, open. And then that second part repeats. You go to the 3rd fret, hammer on, open, bass. So all together so far, bass, strum, bass, hammer on, open, bass, hammer on, open, bass. Now I get the G chord because after we get that bass note, the very next thing we do is strum up, down. So here's the entire intro all together. All right, so then from there, it goes into the first verse. So let's talk about the first verse. Now in this, we have only 3 chords to worry about. We have that same G that started the song, and then we go to C major, and you can find that in the book Guitar Chord Master. And if you don't know it, you have the 1st string open, 2nd string 1st fret with the 1st finger, 3rd string open, 2nd fret on the 4th string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret. And that is your C major chord. Then the only other chord we have in the verse is D major, which is also found in the book. So we have our 1st finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, middle finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And then you only strum 4 strings on that D chord. Now one of the features that makes this song unique is that it has this strum pattern that you find a lot in country, and it has a country feel to it, even though it's an indie rock tune. And so we have bass notes that are played together, and then you strum the chord. So throughout the whole verse, we have bass, chord, bass, chord, bass, chord, bass, chord, change. back to G. So in the verse section, we have 2 measures of G, 2 measures of C, 2 measures of D, and then finally 2 measures of G on the end. So I'm going to play it at full speed so you can hear what that verse is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the song, it continues. It plays all of that again, to a G, to a C, to a D, to a G again. And that is essentially the first verse. Now another interesting feature of this song is the fact that even though it does follow a verse, chorus, bridge format, each verse is a little bit different, each chorus is a little bit different, and of course the bridge is kind of similar to the third verse, which is a little weird. But it sounds good and it works perfectly for this song. So in other words, it follows a predictable format, but what you play isn't what you might expect. Now so far we haven't run into anything strange here, but I'll point that out when we get there. So let's go ahead and move on to the chorus. Now the chorus section is very similar to the verse. We have a lot of the same chords. As you can see on measure 9 in the PDF, we start off with that G, just like we ended the verse with. Then it goes to C major, then D, but then that's where it gets a little bit different. We have some different chords here that don't show up anywhere else in the song except for in the chorus section. So we're still on a D. Now the next chord we play is a D suspended fourth. So all that means is we're taking the D chord and adding the pinky to the first string, 3rd fret. So now the sound is like that. Now the strumming here is a little bit different. We have down, up, and when we come up, we let go of that suspended note. So we go back to a regular D chord. So it's suspended, off. As we come back down, we suspend it again, and then end it with 2 regular D chords. So down, up, down, up. And then the next measure is G, and then we have an F chord 2 times. Now there are several different ways you can play the F chord. If you play it like you find it in the book Guitar Chord Master, no problem. It's just like this, covering those first 4 strings, nothing wrong with doing it that way. You can also do it as a full bar chord, which is shown on that first page of the PDF, where you have your first finger across all 6 strings, middle finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret, pinky on the 4th string 3rd fret, and then the 3rd finger is on string number 5, fret number 3. And then you have the F chord. Now that's the one I'm going to use, but you don't have to. There's also another version where you don't play the first or last strings in the F chord. You simply get the first finger on the note C on the 2nd string 1st fret, middle finger on the note A, 3rd string 2nd fret, pinky on the note F, and then 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. So it gives you a full sound, yet you don't have to get the bar. So it's kind of a little bit of a cheat there, but you might want to try that until your finger can work up that bar and get it nice and clean. All right, so here's how that sounds. G, G, F, F, G, 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 G. And that's how you would strum those last 2 measures. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 4. So that and 4 helps lead us into the next section, which is the interlude. Now the interlude is simply the verse, but there's no singing. So you just hear the guitar bouncing back and forth between bass and hi-hat type sounds. In fact, that's kind of how you follow along. Bass, hi-hat, snare, bass, hi-hat, snare, or low, high, low, high. All right, but we've already been over that sort of thing. But here's what it sounds like, just the interlude. Okay, so after the interlude, we go into verse 2. Now verse 2 is exactly like verse 1, no difference at all. And you can see on the PDF, you simply repeat that 8 measures, so you have a total of 16 bars in verse 2. Then we go to the chorus. The chorus, you play it just like the chorus before. You have the D sus, you have the F major chord in there, same as before. In fact, this time I'm going to play it so you can hear it. So here's the chorus. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now I kind of went into the bridge there. It just kind of felt like a natural progression there. So the bridge section is really easy. We're just playing those 4 chords and we're letting them hold out for 2 measures. So when we get to the bridge, it's just those 4 chords, G, C, D, back to G, but each time you just hold it out. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's the bridge. The next part is technically verse 3, even though it sounds like a continuation of the bridge. And I guess it really depends on who you ask. Some people will consider this part of the bridge, some people will consider it the start of the next verse. I kind of see it and hear it as the start of the next verse before it gets back into the normal strum pattern. So here, the beginning of verse 3 is simply a repeat of the bridge. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, D, G. And then the second half of the verse is just like what you've done before. So you have the G, C, D, G, etc. And that leads us to the very end of the song, which is the last chorus. Now this time the chorus is a little bit different, even though it's the same kind of lyrics throughout there. And the reason is found in measure 71. So instead of going G, G, F, F, G, we have bass on G, chord, then we change to C, chord, back to G. So it sounds like this all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. All right, so you want to watch out for that in measure 71. And then it does that again right before the end. We have bass, chord, and then the last 3 chords are a quick change of G, C, G. And then the song's over. So I'm going to play just that last chorus so you can hear it in its entirety. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there it is. You got a nice end to that song, and strong. They're pretty easy chords to play. Now the speed of it can trip you up. So at first you want to go through that pattern nice and slowly and controlled. So you'd have bass notes just down, high notes down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's something you may want to practice until you can get it up to speed and make it feel like you're just bouncing back and forth between those 2 sounds. All right, so to wrap things up, I'm just going to play the intro, the first verse, and the first chorus, just so you can hear how that all comes together. All right, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. then it moves on to the interlude and the song continues. All right, so have fun with this one. This one is a ton of fun to play. It's a ton of fun to listen to. It's great for beginners to learn on, and you'll have a good time with it. So be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, we'd encourage you to join our mailing list. Just go to our website, themissingmethod.com. And when you do and you sign up for our mailing list, you'll receive a free book. So keep that in mind. And have a good time with this, and I'll see you in the next video.